How true is it that one of the biggest fights you ever got in with your parents was as a kid at an Italian restaurant?
Yeah.
Out of concern you might miss Steve Martin.
Yeah, we were at Villa Parma restaurant. We used to go to a movie on the weekend, and we would go eat at this Italian restaurant, Villa Parma in Hicksville. And I knew that Steve Martin was the guest star on the Carol Burnett Show. And for me, that was like two worlds colliding, two things that I was obsessed with, Carol Burnett Show and Steve Martin. And I just couldn't believe it was happening. And again, there was no VCR, there was no way to tape it. And we were eating dinner, and my parents were just taking their sweet ass time. And I kept going, we gotta go, we gotta go. And they got more and more mad at me, slowed down, till finally it just erupted into a terrible fight. And then I never saw it. And then a couple of years ago, they put out the entire series of the Carol Burnett Show on DVD, and I bought it. I found the episode, and it was terrible.
Oh, so you found the episode you missed.
It was terrible. The whole show was terrible. Steve Martin wasn't good in it. Carol Burnett wasn't good in it. It was just a bad episode. Maybe it was my high expectations. Maybe it was an okay episode. But I remember thinking, well, I guess I didn't really need to get in that big a fight.
So he was your hero growing up. I believe you were on vacation in LA with your grandparents. You managed to convince them to drive by his house. What do you do when you spot him?
Well, my grandmother lived in Beverly Hills, and I knew where Steve Martin lived, and I was about 13 years old, so I always said, let's drive by his house. Just for fun, just like, I can't believe he might be in there. So as a kid, that just blew my mind. Like, he might be in that house. Like, now I live in this neighborhood, and there's a house that is the house that you would see in the credits of an old sitcom. And all day long, people drive up to this house, and they just take pictures of the house. There's tour buses passing by, and they just take pictures of the house. And I'm always like, these morons, what are they doing, these idiots? And it takes a lot for me to go like, oh, I would have like been so excited to see the Brady Bunch house. Right. But I'm like furious that there's always people outside from all around the world to just take a picture of this house.
Well, now they've made an industry out of it.
Exactly,
too, right?
Exactly. So, I mean, I've told the story a zillion times where I met him and asked for his autograph, and he said no, which is what I would do. If someone knocked on my door now, I wouldn't even say no. I would like call security people.
Even a little kid though?
Especially a little kid. Anybody.
Oh, come on.
But he sent me a book, after I wrote him a letter complaining about it that said, to Judd, I'm sorry. I didn't realize I was speaking to the Judd Apatow. And it's, it was a funny thing because I was 13 years old. And so it meant a lot to me, and I saved it. And now I look at it in different terms, which is, I thought, I must have made him laugh in that letter I wrote him. And on some level, it made me feel like, this is possible. I made him laugh enough that he sent me a book. But at the time, that's not what I thought it meant. But I do feel like when you make a connection with people you idolize, it's very significant.
As you're now really successful, have you talked to him about it since?
Oh yeah, we did a photo for Vanity Fair where it was him with a tour bus at my house. It was his suggestion for this photograph of him hounding me at my house. And he's the nicest guy ever. I mean, when you look at what he's accomplished and how consistent he's been, there's very few people who've had careers like that. He's a very, very nice man.